Welcome to Good Mythical More. You call your grandparents something interesting, something that's affectionate, something that like you call them that from such a young age. You don't even think about how weird it is until we talk about it on this Good Mythical More.
Wow, we're breaking ground today.
Of course, they could just be made up.
But first, we're giving $1,000 to Stand Up to Cancer to aid in their mission to raise funds to accelerate the pace of groundbreaking research that can get new therapies to patients quickly and save lives now. Please join us in giving at standuptocancer.org/Rhett and Link. We got our own Earl. yeah. Standuptocancer.org/Rhett and Link. That's you and me.
Nice. All right. Thanks for being your mythical best. Okay, Stevie, let's hear the first one.
Well, I can't keep track of who's dead and who's not between us. I mean, I know we're all alive.
All mine have been alive.
All mine.
We're all alive.
All my grandparents long dead.
All my grandparents are also.
I have one surviving grandma, my Nana. My dad's mom, Nana, is still, she's doing pretty good. She got a walker now. She's
but she's like 90 something, right?
Yeah, I think she's 90. She's got like a cracked hip, so it's like she's in some pain. But you know what? I talked to her the other day, and she says things like, "Yeah, I'm in some pain. We're trying something else to help with that, and I'm just going to keep a positive attitude."
So she's mentally sound.
Oh yeah,
And she always has she's had a great attitude, and that's why she's outlived everybody.
she's tenacious. She is tenacious.
But is that the weirdest name? Like Nana,
Yeah,
which is not
name
very
all your
near-
grandparent names real quick.
Nana, Nanny.
What about the granddads?
Oh, Papa, Papa. I would call both of my papas Papa.
But
So
you said it slightly differently, though.
Papa.
And the other one.
It's Papa.
You called them both the same thing?
Yep.
I always thought there was a slight difference.
No, there's not. They just
Not
look different.
followed by their name, just Papa.
Not Papa. Papa.
Papa.
Equal emphasis on both. Papa.
But no like name afterwards.
No. So in order to
Interesting.
differentiate them, I would always say it'd be we're going to go see Nanny and Papa, or we're going to go see Nana and Papa. So only with adding
The qualifier.
the partner.
And did you have any cousins who
Yeah,
would...
my cousins call Papa Papa.
See, I knew there was something. That's that.
They say Papa.
Right. Because they're huge fans of Stranger Things. Right?
I'm not.
Papa. That's what she calls the guy with white hair.
Oh,
Yeah.
Papa.
What about you, Rhett?
So my mom's dad died before I was born. So I call him just my mother's father. Her mom we called Granny. And
Granny.
then my dad's mom we called Mama Nell. Her name was Nell. Interestingly, the one that's yours still alive is Nell. That we have two Nells.
Yep, Nana.
Her husband, who was not my grandfather, but my step-grandfather, we called Pop. Pop. And
Pop
then
and Mama Nell.
my actual grandfather, my dad's dad, we called Grandpa McLaughlin.
Yeah, but you never lived close to any of them. You never had a real strong connection to
Well, Grandpa
Mama
McLaughlin,
Nell.
I saw a couple of times, maybe.
Mama Nell when she moved up here
Well,
to North Carolina.
the first 3 years of my life, we were in Georgia, so I would see him all the time. Of course, I don't remember it
You don't remember that.
because everybody was down in that same area. And then Mama Nell lived in North Carolina. You remember she came up and went into the
Yeah.
retirement home. So she was in North Carolina with us for like, I don't know how many years, 5 to 10 years. I've lost track of time.
Now of course, my parents are now grandparents. So are yours. So
Yeah.
they're called, my mom wanted to be called Granny, and Lewis, they called him, I think they said Papa, not Papa.
Why are you using past tense?
Well, because Lewis died.
Lewis passed away.
Oh, I thought you meant like they grow, like the older that your kids got,
No,
they
no,
were
no.
just kind of like,
Yeah, they still refer to Papa.
this is
Papa,
stupid. We're just going to use real names.
Papa Lewis.
And your dad.
My dad is granddaddy, and his wife is Nana. So there's a nanny, there's a there's not a nanny anymore. There's a Nana, and then there's a Nana.
I think that my parents have the most interesting names, and they did pick them for themselves, and it is Mama Di and Daddy Mac. So
Daddy Mac is cool.
Yeah, Daddy Mac. Yeah.
Daddy Mac is
And he
a good
picked
one.
that, not knowing that it was a crisscross reference from the 90s.
I'm sure he did not know. And I don't know exactly how it came about, but they were like ready because my mom is Diane and of course McLaughlin. So
They
Mama
were
Di and Daddy
ready.
Mac. And then my in-laws are, my mother-in-law's name is Phyllis, and they called her Didis. Like the first grandchild called her Didis trying to say Phyllis, and so she's Didis, which I think is pretty cool. And then my father-in-law is just Grandpa. He got like just Grandpa. So you got Grandpa and Didis, which is, there's not a lot of symmetry there.
It is interesting to ask for the name Granny. Like what was that
I think she
background?
had a granny that she really loved, so she had a fond association with that. Even though, so yeah, it kind of implies like more of an elderly grandma versus like a younger, vibrant grandma, which I think my mom's more on that side. Mama Sue, which I call her Mama. I call her Mom now. I don't call her Mama, but growing up I called her Mama.
Me too.
Now, have you picked out your and Jesse's names for when you have grandkids?
No,
Because I have.
Well, I think there are two types of people. There are people who tell you what they want you to call them, and there are people who just let things happen.
So you're judging me, and you're putting me in the camp with your own parents.
Yeah, right. Hey, listen.
You have a problem with that?
No.
When you talk about your parents, it was like a cool thing.
Yeah.
And when you said I was going to do it,
Yeah. But you're
inconsistent.
But
Well, what's
they
your
weren't
chosen
thinking
name?
about it at age 44. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that.
Well, I have my kids are, two of them are of childbearing age.
Right. Yeah.
Got to be ready, man.
What's your name?
Christy wants to be called.
You want to be called Christy? So that's interesting.
Yeah, let's do a
Just start
reversal.
calling me her name.
Christy and I were on vacation like one weekend, and we started talking about what we would be called as grandparents, just kind of like on a whim. And she was like, well, my sister, when she was little, she couldn't say Christy, so she called me Kiki. So I think I want my grandkids who won't be able to say Christy to call me Kiki. And I'm like, I like that. I'm like, well, I think I want to be called Papa. But just too many, I don't know. Maybe it's like, so then I'm like, well, when I was growing up, I couldn't say the L in Link, so I would say Ink. So I want to be called Papa Ink.
Papa Ink. You know what? That should be your DJ name. Really, I think is the only thing that we figured out.
Papa
is
Ink.
Papa Ink in the
and
house.
Kiki and Ink.
I have a similar
cute,
one
right?
to that.
Okay.
I couldn't call we were supposed to call my grandfather Pop Pop, but I couldn't say it, so I always said Bob Bop. So for his entire life until he passed, he was Bob Bop.
Bob up.
B-A-B-O-P.
Right.
I think, okay, so yes, I was kind of doing a bit a second ago. Here's what I'll say about picking your name. I think that if an interesting circumstance leads to a cool name, you can go with it. But I think it's good to have something that, like, if the question arises, do you want to be called something? You should have an answer. I think being prepared, because you don't want to get called something dumb and then that's what you're stuck with. So I do think having a plan, and then if something starts to kind of percolate and they start calling you something weird, to be like, can we stop that? Like, can we correct course right now?
Yeah, but
and
somebody
call me
has
this?
to decide, because the kid is too young to decide.
Right.
So it's either the parents decide or the.
But if I guess what I'm saying is, if you bring a name into the equation, then things like Pop, Bop, Bop, and Didis can't happen. There's no organic process. If the organic process leads to some awesome new name, that's great. But if it doesn't, be prepared with a cool name.
I think the opportunity is there for your kids to make up names for you that you don't know about, and then start talking about you with those names. That is the opportunity here. And they can be really unfortunate names that you get stuck with.
So you're trying to get us to actually play this game now.
No, I'm not.
Oh.
I was gonna. We're out of time. The reason I asked about cousins is because on my dad's side, I was the oldest cousin, and so I just called them, grandma and grandpa, And then everyone who's younger than me, for some reason, started calling my grandma Marnie, which doesn't make any sense. Her name was Dina. And called my grandfather Papa Lewis. And so that was an interesting dynamic.
And you didn't adopt that.
And I didn't adopt that because
That's
I was
weird when they don't, when no one.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's bad. Family reunions just completely break down.
Well, and it also just felt weird to call someone by like two different names. It felt like I was like missing out on something, but I was like, that's not what I call them. So and then my grandmother that just passed away, I called her Gma because she was such a proper woman. I just like to mess with her, so I'd say, "What up, Gma?" every time I saw her.
Did she drive a G-Wagon?
Yes, actually.
That'd be cool.
Okay, now we can play the game. So
we got
Mythical
these from
Beasts,
fans.
Yeah, Mythical Beasts submitted some names that they called their grandparents, but we also made up some names that you could have called your grandparents.
That's an incest turd.
Exactly.
Not
so you're
an
going to
incest
guess
turd.
if I'm giving you a Mythical Beast answer or a fake answer. So the
Oh,
first
and speaking of which, I just looked at myself here. If you want to show your allegiance to not tomatoes, then buy this shirt and join forces with me in hating tomatoes. No tomatoes allowed.
What about people who like tomatoes? Can they still buy that shirt?
Yes.
Ironically.
Mythical.com. Wear it ironically, wear it sincerely.
It's a conversation starter.
Post your pictures and tag me because that'll make me feel like I'm not alone.
I call my grandfather Pichon, which means pigeon in Spanish. And he
Pichon.
got that name due to him flying from woman to woman.
Oh,
Real or fake?
I like that. I'm going to say
I'm
real.
saying it's not real because I don't think that pigeon is pigeon in Spanish because Shepard did that whole project about pigeons
Oh.
a couple years ago.
You have a special
and
pigeon
I
knowledge.
think it's paloma or something like that.
Oh.
I think that is grapefruit.
No,
Oh, dove.
really?
That's dove. But I also thought
Grapefruit dove.
pichon sounded like a bad word that you'd call someone. But it is real.
Yes.
Submitted by Mythical Beasts
Mickey.
at
Kerplunk.
Kerplunk with a 1.
All right. Let's hit another one.
I call my mom's dad Uggo. My parents have no idea where I got the name from as a kid, but by the time I was old enough to know what it meant, it had already stuck.
Uggo.
I'll go like ugly. I don't.
UGGO.
I know. But
UGGO.
to know what it meant.
Yeah, I think the slang is like
I think this
an ugly
sounds,
person.
This sounds real.
I'm going to go with Antest, and SS
I like
turds.
it. I like Uggo.
It's fake.
Oh.
It did sound real though, didn't it?
Okay, it did sound real.
Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
too far-fetched.
Not really interesting.
I called my grandpa Papa Florida because he lived in Florida,
Yeah.
and we wanted to differentiate him from my grandpa who lived in New York,
Yep.
who was not nicknamed Papa New York.
Yeah,
Totally makes
because it
sense.
doesn't sound as good.
Papa New
Florida
York?
sounds great.
Papa Florida.
Papa Florida?
Papa Florida.
My sister's friend told her when she was little that she was going to Miami, and my sister said, "I'm going to see Miami tomorrow." Like she thought Miami, she didn't know Miami was a place. She thought Miami was, you know.
Well, you know what? There's a great Keith Whitley
Grammy?
song where he takes that to an extreme. He talks about Amy in Miami. Miami, Miami.
It's a stretch.
No, listen to that song.
This is real.
Yes.
And it comes from Megan, one of our writers.
Megan, Papa Florida.
Hey,
Oh,
Do you
Papa
pronounce
Florida.
it Florida?
what was that?
Florida.
Yeah, he lived in Florida.
What part of Florida? Like the part that is
What do
the
you
south
say, though?
or the part that's not the south?
To be honest, I'm not sure. I know he was near Butterfly World.
I'm not familiar with
Because I
that.
remember that was like the one big thing.
Papa
that we
Butterfly
did.
World, Florida.
Yeah.
Ironically, the further north you go in Florida, the more southern it gets.
Coconut Creek.
Oh, that sounds familiar, actually.
Coconut Creek,
Florida.
That's down there.
Coconut Creek,
That's
Florida.
down there, the southern part. That's in the southern part of Florida where they don't talk like this. In
gotta
fact,
get
no
there
one
on-
actually talks like this except
South
people
of
doing
Boca
southern
Raton.
accents in movies.
You gotta get there on a fan boat.
Yep, that's it. That's exactly how he sounded.
Papa Florida lived on a fan boat.
It's like a Louisiana accent.
Welcome to Papa Florida's abode.
Every summer I lose on average 1 finger in my fan boat.
Yep. But I was born with 3 extras, so it's okay.
I'm down to 4. Papa Florida got 4 fingers left.
Yeah.
That's approximately 4 summers.
You want to pull?
I can still steer my fan boat.
Pull my non-existent finger, and
This
I'll
is
give
a
you.
very good transition into
And I'll
the
give you a
next
very existent
round.
fart.
Because this says, I call my grandpa, Grandpa One Foot. Because he had 1 foot.
diabetes took
now
it.
he has none.
Now he has none. This has got to be real.
Grandpa 1 foot.
Yeah.
Grandpa Nunfoot.
This comes from Mythical Beast at _why.
Grandpa 1 foot.
Yep. I had a great aunt who only had 1 foot.
Did you call her Aunt 1 foot?
No, I called her, what was her name?
What was her name?
Hazel. Her name was Hazel.
Aunt Hazel.
Aunt Hazel. Yep.
Aunts don't get as good of names. Aunts and uncles usually
My-
just uncle first name, aunt first name.
My Aunt Tessie. You know, her name
Yeah.
was Teresa. I couldn't say Teresa.
So
I
a
said
slight
Tessie.
a slight alteration.
Okay, I like this. Give me another one. Grandpa.
Oh, you know what? This is
Stevie
another,
1
This
foot.
is a cool aunt name. My wife's sister is called Shasha
Shasha.
because her name is Ashley, and somebody was trying to say Ashley. I guess Locke.
Shasha.
Shasha. And now she's Shasha, which is a good
Chase just said that he's called Uncle Kaka
Uncle Kaka.
because Sarah tried to tell his niece, that his name was Cha Cha, and she says Kaka.
Uncle Kaka.
Uncle Kaka, I think, is very good.
Yeah. What does that mean in Spanish?
I call my
This is a
grandma
parallel
baby
universe, Chase, though.
because when I was barely over 3 years
Baby?
old, baby, I thought she was my actual child because kid logic,
I thought her sibling was the
No, the grandparent.
grandma.
She was watching Benjamin
three-year-old
Button.
thought-
She was watching Benjamin Button.
She thought her
Yeah.
grandma was her child.
Oh, there's a baby. Just like the movie. This is real because of that.
This is strange.
Yeah, it's fake.
Okay, good.
I was hoping it was real.
I call my grandpa Megapop, as in Megatron. I was addicted to Transformers as a kid, and I refused to call him anything else.
That's great. It's got to be true. It
Megapop.
needs to be true.
Megatron was the bad guy, though.
Yeah, it's fake.
Oh,
Oh.
It's sad when it's fake, right?
yeah, I know. I want it to be so
Megapop,
real.
yeah.
Okay, my grandma
That's a good- you
I
tricked me.
called Gang Gang, and my granddad I called Gingor.
Gang, 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 Gigor.
Gingor?
Gigor.
Because as a baby, I couldn't pronounce either grandma or granddad.
Well, you didn't even get
Gang
close.
Gang and Gingor.
You didn't
Gingor?
get
Is there an
close,
N in
man.
it? Gingor?
Huh?
Is it Gigor or Gingor?
Gingore.
Gingor.
Gingor.
I like that as a name for an ugly dog. Gingor.
I think my backup grandpa name might be Gingor. Is what I'm thinking.
Gingor.
It's probably not in heavy rotation.
It's got
Yeah.
a very like sci-fi fantasy element.
Gingor is here. I'm going to the park with Gingor. I think it's real.
Yeah, I hope it's real.
It's real.
Yes.
From Mythical Beast at Alicia Charlie 99.
Alicia.
That's great. Gang Gang and Gingor.
Gang, gang. Gingor. Yes. Write those down if you need any of them. Just leave it to Papa Inky. Tomatoes out. Teas rejecting tomatoes, very in. Get my no tomatoes tea now at mythical.com.